Welcome ladies and gentlemen to another episode of Natquascape. In today's video, I'm going to do an update of Natquascape number 2. So stay tuned to see what's going on with this planted aquarium. Welcome ladies and gentlemen to another episode of Natquascape. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at an update of the Mini Flex EM and the aquascape called Natquascape number 2. Yeah, really original, right? Again, I need to come up with some names for these scapes if I'm going to continue this. Well, I am going to continue this. So the process for me is a journey, and I'm documenting this journey for you. I do have experience in aquascaping, but I want to document the journey for you so that you know what to expect if you want to kind of scape a low-tech tank or a high-tech tank. Here we have a high-tech tank. The reason it's high-tech is because I am injecting CO2, okay, and a reasonable level of CO2, so 30 parts per million, which is the equivalent of 30 milligrams per liter. Also, what's high-tech about this tank is I have daily fertilization, okay, and I have the light on a timer, and it is, you know, kind of high light. It is considered as a strong light. The reason why I'm using this particular light is because it was supplied with the tank. Okay, so I want to use what comes with the tank to see what results I get. If I want to swap the light out later, I will swap the light out later for something stronger, depending on if I want to continue to make a high-tech tank setup. So without further ado, let's jump into the tank. Let's get a close-up. Let's see what's going on. Let me tell you about the issues that I'm having at the moment so that you know what to expect if you're going to go for a highly or high-tech planted setup. So in order to first of all cycle the tank, what I did was I used some old biomedia in the filter. I used half tank water from my grow out tank, which has shrimp and a little bit of some fish in there, and half RO water. Okay, my RO water is remineralized, and I'll do a separate video on how I remineralize my RO water. So it did take about a week before I was satisfied with the ammonia and the nitrite levels. And what I did to aid the cyclization of the tank is after the CO2 went off, an hour later, I would basically put an air stone in the tank to oxygenate the tank. That helps provide additional oxygen for the nitrifying bacteria. So I think that helped cycling the tank. What has happened is that I think the ammonia spike did, cause a large melt of the Macranthenum tweedii and the Macranthenum Monte Carlo and some of the Eleocharis mini as well. In fact, I did even see a little bit of melt of the Helilanthium tenellum green. So ammonia has, caused a little bit of melt in this tank. However, the plants are reviving. I still have a large amount of diatoms, which I'm completely unworried about because this happens in every tank. And in my experience, what I see is as soon as you put a mana shrimp and some ottos, they clear all of that stuff up within 2 days. It's always helpful though to take as much out as you can. The reason being is because if you have a huge diatom bloom, it's not a problem, it will go away, but it does make the plants suffer. The plants suffer because they are competing for nutrients. So as soon as the Amana shrimp and the fish go in, they will take care of the diatoms. Keep on doing water changes. The diatoms, the kind of brown fluff that you may see in the tank, maybe I'll do a quick zoom in, will die off and it comes away quite easily. You can easily siphon it out. So let's just zoom in on some diatoms and show you what I mean. So I think there's a nice mass of diatom bloom in that corner. So that's where I have the Liliolopsis brasilinellis, I think that's how you say it. So you can see that brown kind of patch. That will come out really easily. Okay, it happens in every newly established tank, so don't worry about it. Okay, so what else is happening? So I have inline CO2 injection, just because this is a very small aquarium and therefore I want to have as little equipment in the aquarium as possible. I have an external filter with an inbuilt heater. It is actually an Eden 511. I'll put a link to that where you can purchase that filter with an inbuilt heater in the description section. Okay, so I have some spots of green algae. Again, I am not worried about that because once I put my shrimp, a mono shrimp, and my Otto catfish, they will take care of that. So this is an update of the tank so far after 3 weeks. This is the whole process of growing a carpet. And this is why I wanted to give you an update to show you what will happen in most circumstances when you try and scape a tank with a carpet. Okay, but one thing that I can see is that I am getting pearling. I mean, you can see in the tank that I am getting pearling. Now, initially I thought that might be pearling from the diatoms or any algae, but no, it's not. It is from the plants. And the plants are recovering. I am seeing some recovery. Also, from the Liliolopsis, I'm actually seeing growth already. I'm also already seeing runners from the Liliolopsis, and I'll just show you that right now. Okay, so let me just get my tweezers. You can see the runners of the Liliolopsis running out and some offshoots growing along here. So I only planted the Liliopsis back here. You can also see some that have some of the growth towards the, coming towards the front of the tank. So it's a fast growing plant. I've actually never used this plant before, but I know it's it's regarded as an easy to grow plant. So you can see the runners running out. In fact, just here you can see some roots and some shoots as well. So the Liliolopsis is growing rather well, although we do have some algae issues in the tank. So I normally set the GH levels of the tank to about 4. And what I've experienced is that the tank GH levels have gone up to about 6. Ideally, I want it to be less than 5. How am I going to control that? Water changes. So before introducing fish, I have to actually experiment with how much water changes do I need to do to keep the GH levels below 5. Ideally keep it about 4. And I'm going to have to do some water changes every other day, sorry. Now, there's no problem with that in a nano aquarium. The reason why is because 50% water change in this aquarium works out to be about 4 litres. So it's hardly anything. You have to have patience when having a high-tech tank, having a tank with a carpet, CO2, daily liquid ferts. And this tank has got quite a few issues, but one thing when I showed my wife this tank was she reminded me to have patience. And I've seen this happen before in one of my other scapes, which was a high-tech planted tank. In fact, it was all the way ADA, and here is a picture of that tank. So as you can see, lush carpet of this was the baby tears, the dwarf baby tears, liquid daily ferts, full ADA system. the Chihiros Series A lights, and I had 2 of them on, and I got such a lush green carpet. In fact, you know, trimming it was quite difficult because I had to trim the carpet every 2 weeks. It was just growing like mad. I had a Himanthias cuba carpet, the dwarf baby tier carpet, which is a high demanding plant, but it just grew. Once it took off, it just grew, and keeping up with the trimming just got a bit too much. And actually that kind of put me off having a kind of carpet tank. So yeah, anyway, in this little scape, I've decided just to show you, to document the process of what can happen when you do have a high tank planted setup. Okay, so let's recap on some points that you should consider if you're going to create a high-tech Iwugami carpet planted tank. So 1, when cycling your tank, make sure you do a 70% water change every day to keep the ammonia levels low. That should really kind of reduce melting of the plants. Now, I must warn you, step 2, you will see melting of the plants, especially if you're using carpeting plants. Carpeting plants are known as more difficult plants. They need more attention and care. They need CO2. They need more nutrients to thrive. So they are more delicate than the easy category of plants. So you will see some melt while cycling your tank. Point 3, be prepared to see diatoms in your tank. This is all part of a process when setting up a new tank. When you're doing your daily water change, just siphon it out. Don't worry if you can't get all of it. Just make sure you can get most of it via siphoning. Once your tank cycled, you'll add your Amano shrimp or some variant of shrimp that will just really eat away at the diatoms and completely clear them in about 2-3 days depending on how much shrimp you have. Later on, when you're slowly stocking your tank, you can introduce a Otocinclus catfish. They're good at eating algae as well and kind of keeping the algae to reduce levels. Point 4. Now you've seen I've used grey mountain stone. This type of rock releases calcium carbonate. Now I have a really big piece in such a small scape. Now if I leave this tank for about 3 days, my degree of general hardness, which measures calcium and magnesium, increases from 4 to 11. That's a dramatic increase. Plants prefer soft water. The stone is creating hard water. So if your plant has experienced an ammonia melt, it's going to take a long time for the plant to recover because it's trying to grow in conditions that are not ideally favorable. So for me, I need to actually do a water change every other day to keep the general hardness at a reasonable level. So just bear that in mind when you choose your rock and how much rock you're going to add in. So that leads me on to point 5, and that is be patient. Your plant will carpet eventually. If you've got 30 parts per million of CO2, you're using daily fertilizers, and you're keeping up with the maintenance, the plants will adapt and they will grow, as long as your water chemistry are within certain parameters. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and learned some tips when considering creating an Iwugami style and a high-tech aquascape. Let me know, what is your favorite style of aquascape? What type of rocks do you like to use, whether it's grey mountain stone, mini landscape rock, dragonstone? What type of wood do you like to use in your scapes? I'm really interested to know what you guys like, what you guys think, so let me know in the comments. If you like the content, then please hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, share the video and like the video. And check out this video where I take you through a step-by-step guide on how to create a non-CO2 low tank aquascape. See you in the next video.